It's genuinely like I've been asleep my whole life and I've just woken up for the first time. There was real physical symptoms, even if there wasn't a real physical cause. Have you ever stepped away from something you were doing and realized you were totally fucking it up? Like an art project or schoolwork or even a relationship? You've been putting in all this hard work, but it just wasn't right. After I started antipsychotics, I was able to step away from my entire life, and I realized none of it was right. I was living on autopilot. Nothing mattered to me because I couldn't care about what wasn't right in front of me, and I thought that was normal. Okay, here's an example. This is the first year since my childhood I've been excited about my birthday. This is the first year I've picked out specific gifts I want, I know what cake I want, I know what kind of party I want, and before, I couldn't even imagine any of this because my birthday was just a day that was coming eventually, and I didn't have to plan or think about it at all. And if I couldn't even care about my birthday, how the hell was I going to pay attention to my classwork and do my taxes? Now, admittedly, part of this is depression, and I've been on a mood stabilizer for 5 years now, but the amount of help that the antipsychotics have given me in comparison to the mood stabilizers makes me think that there's more than just depression in there. It's genuinely like I've been asleep my whole life and I've just woken up for the first time. And when I used to not care about anything, it wasn't because I was depressed. I think it was because I didn't understand anything. Nothing really went through my brain. It was all in one ear, out the other. I just didn't have the cognitive space to understand anything was happening at all. Here's another example. I used to be terrible at shopping because I didn't understand the difference between what I liked and what I would actually wear. If I saw a jacket that I thought was cute and it was 3 sizes too big, I would just buy it anyways and then proceed to never wear it because I didn't care about where my money was going. Now that I'm on the right medicine, I just don't. It's like I've been gifted a second chance at life by some old god in a little chemical capsule I take every morning. You know what else I care about now? Hygiene. I used to just not care that my teeth were rotting in my mouth and my hair was getting knots because I couldn't see it, so it didn't exist to me. Now I'm just better, and it's fantastic. So why am I making this video? Well, I want to share my experience because the main reason I didn't really understand there was anything wrong with me is because nobody really told me. I'm gonna be fully honest about my mental health and how antipsychotics have helped me, specifically with mania. Mania is kind of like when you're a little kid and you're about to go to Disney World and you're so excited you could puke. But you're not actually going to Disney World and you're an adult, so you're going to class or work, so that heart-pumping, head-thumping excitement does not help you out. There's different stages of mania and there's a lot of symptoms, but the gist of it is that when you're in a manic episode or experiencing mania, you feel your emotions more intensely, so you have worse emotional regulation. Worse emotional regulation also makes it easier for you to fall into bad habits like never cleaning or never taking a shower because it doesn't give you the immediate dopamine rush you need to fulfill. Those were the big ones for me, not really caring about anything and being bad with my money especially, but there's other symptoms too. There's like inflated sense of ego, there's really high sex drive, and sometimes mania manifests itself as psychosis, which is something I'm gonna briefly touch on soon. Mania is usually part of bipolar disorder, which is a disorder where you're kind of in a flux in between manic episodes and depressive episodes. This might be what I have. It's what I'm medicated for, and it's what my psychiatrist suspects, but my psychiatrist can't diagnose me, so I don't officially have bipolar. I'm just taking the medicine for bipolar, and all of the signs point to bipolar. I don't know if it's specifically bipolar. I think it's definitely 100% mania, and it's just very likely that I also have depressive episodes because of bipolar. But right now, I'm just talking about mania. Maybe I'll talk about depression another day, but today's mania day, baby. There are potentially other disorders that include mania. One that I've heard a lot is BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. I've heard a lot of people with borderline personality disorder self-reporting that they do experience manic episodes, but the DSM-5 doesn't currently have that as one of their diagnostic criteria for BPD. Psychosis sounds scary, but the symptoms are more common than you might realize. Full disclosure, I'm not a doctor, so although I have talked about all of this with a medical professional, I'm not one, so I can't diagnose you. If you are interested in learning more about your mental health because what I'm saying resonates with you, please either get a therapist, or if you can't afford that, do your own research to the best of your abilities. So what are the symptoms of psychosis? Hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thoughts. Hallucinations I get very rarely. At the very peak of my mood, if I'm very understimulated, my brain will sometimes start making noises for me to hear that are not very real. I'm also very, very prone to hallucinating when I'm on drugs. Like, a little bit of weed will have me hallucinating sounds. Not that I've ever smoked weed before or anything like that. So I don't really experience hallucinations much, but delusions? Oh my god, delusions have ruled my life for most of the time I've been living it. I remember that up until a very late age, like 10 years old, I was convinced that I had a superpower that let me see in the dark because I had a nightlight in my room. And I just genuinely believed I had a superpower. Like, it wasn't logical at all, but I was fully convinced of it. Here are some of the other delusions I was fully convinced of until I started taking this medicine, and they just suddenly started floating away like little butterflies. I'm secretly evil, and everybody knows it. There's mind readers reading my mind, and they're making fun of me for it. I'm only a nice person because my mom was mean to me, and if my mom was nice to me, I would have come out evil. Because I'm secretly an evil person, of course. I thought nobody could ever be attracted to me because I'm hideous, and I simultaneously thought that any man who was nice to me was only doing it because they were attracted to me. That one's a little bit embarrassing to admit. Here's some more. I thought if I ever told the truth about my mental health, I would be shamed and shunned from society. I used to think I smelled like shit, even like actively as I was showering and right after I finished my shower and I was covered in soap and all I could smell was florals. I was like, oh shit, I smell like dookie. And I used to believe that I could spend any amount of money on clothing and it would be reasonable because clothing is a necessity to live, so it doesn't matter if I'm dropping 50 bucks a week on it. Tangent, by the way, but I would love to share my experience on shopping addiction and thrifting addiction because I seriously think it's like an epidemic with the young girls of today and somebody needs to talk about it. Like, if I get even a single comment saying they're interested in this, I will absolutely write and record a video on thrifting and shopping addiction because the overconsumption in the thrifting landscape is crazy. And nobody is talking about how normalized it is to buy more than you need at the thrift store specifically. Anyways, that's not the topic of today's video, okay? I'm gonna finish off my list. All right, I think we're on 8 or 9. Somatic delusions. Somatic delusions are feelings you get in your body that don't actually have a medical source. It's just your head making your body think there's an issue. I used to, whenever I would get nervous, my throat would close up. I feel so bad that I've wasted so much of my family's money trying to find some sort of gastrointestinal issue when it went away as soon as I started my medication. It was literally just in my head, which like is so embarrassing to admit, but it happens and it doesn't mean that it's less valid. Like, that's the big issue, because when it's all in your head, people will say you're doing it for attention, they'll say you're just trying to be different, but I genuinely felt like there was actually an issue there, and it was like, I would throw up because of it. There was real physical symptoms, even if there wasn't a real physical cause. I also, this is a little bit gross, but I store a lot of my anxiety in my pelvis, and I used to not even know when I had to pee. I literally would just pee whenever I showered. And I got so many UTIs because I just didn't get the feeling. Like, and as soon as I started my medicine, it's like, oh no, I pee 5 times a day. If any of this sounds relatable to you, I genuinely advise that you seek help, because help has helped me. Seriously, it's important. And if you can afford it, I would definitely try to go for psychiatry or therapy. It is as good as people tell you it is. So that's it. That's my first video journal. I went a little bit off my script, but I think I'm happy with everything I recorded. Hopefully my next video. If anybody comments on this one about the thrifting thing, I will talk about the thrifting thing. And if nobody talks about this video, I'll probably do something else autobiographical. I'll see you guys next time I do this.